Hi folks, back once again with another fail tale. First off, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, please do us a favor, keep the content for this channel growing and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, notifications, share it amongst your friends. This is here for you to have fun. And the only way to support this channel over the long term is to have enough interest to keep it going. So please, we encourage you to do all of the above and join us as we go forward. This is not an interview. This is a fail tale and goes back to the earliest days of tabletop role-playing games. And today, we're going to talk about a different one. Maybe some of you remember a game called Boot Hill, which was set in the American West and was really, the mechanics were really for having a gunfight. There wasn't much put into the surrounding land and the story, etc., etc., etc. But the thing was set up to do gunfighting. It was really a derivative of miniature rules. And because people were playing a lot in the role-playing gaming space, this tended to evolve from more than just gunfighting, but to using rules from other games. I know in our Boot Hill we used a lot of the rules from D&D to set up the world, if you will, the town, and the interactions that were going on. So Boot Hill did not have a particularly long life in terms of being popular out there, but it did come out in roughly that same space, I think around 77, 78. Yeah, it was a lot of fun at the time. I enjoyed it. But it depended on what your background was. If you were playing role-playing games back in the very earliest days when they started, your cultural heritage, at least in the United States, still had a lot of things like Westerns in movies and on TV, and they were very popular. I know I love spaghetti Westerns myself, so anything that has a Sergio Leone soundtrack is like, well, that's great. So in this particular game, there were 4 people who were playing, if you will, goody two-shoes, good guys who were out there as marshals to help defend the town, get rid of the rustlers and the bank robbers and everything else that came in a Wild West town. And we played in a game where 4 of us were good and 5 of us were bad guys. Now, once again, this is a game that's set up for shooting mechanics. You know, you literally line up characters and you drew a line to make sure that you had access to the person you were shooting at, and then you did dice rolls. And for that game, it was percentiles. It was not a 20-sided. So here we had the baddest of the bad guys, and his name was Dexter Loosenuts. Dexter Loosenuts had been an itinerant laborer who went nuts, killed his boss and family, found out that he was good at shooting, and became a gunslinger. So Dexter and his gang were coming into town. Now, on the goody two-shoe side, there was Lance Trueshot. And Lance Trueshot wore white, big white hat, lots of silver and stuff on his outfit. Looked the part from maybe a 1930s or 1940s movie. Much more fantastical than accurate. Well, Lance and his deputies ran into Dexter and his rustling gang inside of Miss Kitty's Saloon in a town in which they were playing. I tried to find the town's name. I can't anymore. I don't have that information, unfortunately, but I do remember the encounter. They discovered each other inside of the bar. Well, there's no question that in a situation like that, the shooting irons are coming out, and they're going to try and bore one another. That's from St. Grade, just so you know. And sure enough, everybody's guns came flashing out and they began shooting away each other with percentiles. The maximum distance between any of the shooters was just under 30 feet. We got 2 rooms filled with 6 gun carriers. Lance used 2, so did Dex, blazing away at each other, emptying their guns, shooting like crazy. And what happened? They didn't hit one member on either side after emptying their guns. Well, that's amazing. How can you not hit any of your opponents, good guys or bad guys? You got 9 people blazing away at each other and nobody gets hit. Well, time to qualify that. Nobody in either group got hit. 2 of the bar girls, the bartender, and 4 patrons were all killed. In addition to that, all of the blazing shots carved away the support beams for the gallery where the sporting ladies were. And those sporting ladies were standing on the balcony watching. With all that extra weight and all these guns blazing away, chipping away the veritable post that held up the entire gallery, it collapsed. When it collapsed, all the ladies came flying off the top of it. All were seriously injured or killed. And the gallery came down on both groups, both the good guys and the bad guys, injuring and trapping, and in some cases killing, all of them. Now where's the real bad part here? When the gallery came down, there were hanging lamps that hung off of posts on the side of the gallery posts. And because it's always dark inside these places, they were lit. Well, they came down spreading oil and fire on top of what was left of the gallery, the groaning, moaning, screaming, crying people who were under it, and the whole building. Floorboards are made out of wood, everything's made out of wood, and there's a lot of alcohol in here too, and the alcohol in those days was probably better for starting fires than it was for drinking. So, all of that goes up, whoosh. Not only killed them, killed all the patrons who were stuck in the bar. The death count was over 80. And yet, in that whole process, neither side directly did any damage to the other. It's a pretty good fail overall. In a fun game, though, ended that game. So there's something for you that's a little bit different. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, let us know in the comments section. Be sure and give us a like. Be sure and subscribe to us for future content. We're going to cover a lot of weird games out here when it comes to Fail Tales. And of course, if you have questions, put them in the comments as well. In the meantime, we'll look forward to seeing you on a future episode of Fail Tales. And remember, dwarves rock!